Hey, did you see the Leafs game last night? Oh my god, they lost their first game by 3 goals to the Bruins. They need to trade the coach and trade all the goalies and shut the up. It was the first game. I'm getting this weird sense of deja vu. Oh my god, finally! Go Canadian fire! Country!
Deal with it.
Deal and smash!
Owen Grabowski.
GTFO. I got it from the bar. Excited to do my first Leafs playoff video. Wish it were under better circumstances. Leafs lose Game 1 4-1 to the Boston Bruins and fall behind 1-0 in the series. And heading into the game, I didn't even know how to feel. For me, cheering for the Leafs in the playoffs is a lot like long division. I used to do it all the time as a kid, but it's been a long time since I've done it, so I forget how. The Leafs looked pretty good off the opening face-off. The pace was good. They didn't look nervous. They were staying with the Bruins. Carl Gunnarsson made one pretty terrible pass, but other than that, and oddly enough, it was the Bruins taking a penalty early, and then it was the Bruins scrambling on the power play, and the Leafs capitalized. James Van Riemsdyk. And boy, did he get a playoffs 101 from Zdeno Chara on that play. It's the playoffs, kids. You get away with murder. There's a lot of players like Chara who guard the front of the net. I'm surprised they don't give them just chainsaws. Wheat! Penalty to Bruins number 33. 2 minutes. Dismemberment. But James Van Riemsdyk, and believe me, I'll get to this in a minute, parked his ass in front of the net exactly where he should be, and good things happened. And this is great so far. The Leafs have the Bruins exactly where they've put a lot of teams so far this season. The Leafs get outshot and outchanced by opponents all the time. It's not something they're new to. But they try to get the early goal, get out of the first period with a 1-0, maybe a 2-1 lead, and let Reimer and everyone else handle it from there. But giveaway after giveaway after giveaway, the Leafs defense looked absolutely terrible. First goal, Reimer's trying to peek by a defenseman right, the shot goes left, 1-1. Nathan Horton tips home the 2-1 goal, and my only question is, who the hell was covering Nathan Horton? Krejci's 3-1 goal, Mark Frazier was a catastrophe. Clears the puck out of the Leaf zone, but right to the Bruins. And I don't care how fast you are, you're not going to pull off a good line change when they just bring the puck right back with one pass. Realizes what he's done, falls down, skates back at the speed of smell. Scramble in front, Nikolai Kulemin goes to clear the puck, and Frazier kicks it right back. The kick was an accident, the fall was an accident, but just disastrous. And the Johnny Boychuk 4-1 goal, just, holy crap. I'm kind of glad that goal happened though, because it brought on one of my favorite things that you always hear in play-by-play. That was a great shot, but the goalie's got to have that. Well, he didn't, because it was a great shot. That's where goals come from. And I'm dumping on the Leafs, but here's what's great about that 4-1 loss. I'm struggling to think of one right now, but that might have been the Leafs' worst game of the season so far. Even in games where they've lost, they haven't been blown out a lot, haven't been a ton of just egregious giveaways. Lots of giveaways, but not just here you go. And it's almost like, all right, you got game 1 under your belt. What did you learn? And they come back in game 2 going, all right, that's what the playoffs are like. And they improve. Now, for the just always lovely, awesome Phil Kessel emphasis. I love that there's been a couple reporters recently going, well, I would ask Phil Kessel why he sucks so bad against Boston. Even though they had many and many opportunities to do so over the last few years and they didn't. But hey, what are you, stupid? You don't watch the game? Chara! I wish they would ask Phil Kessel that, so he could be like, you know, I put some thought into it, and I think it's the guy with the 28-foot wingspan punching me in the head. Which brings me to what the Leafs have to do in Game 2. Leafs fans, first and foremost, you might as well stop bitching about Tyler Bozak being on the first line. That's where he is, okay? We know that by now. Unless he's hurt, then that really changes things. But the line of JVR on the left, Bozak in the middle, and Kessel on the right got a lot of things done this season, but here's why it won't work against the Bruins. Bozak would hang back and maybe start the play. Kessel and JVR would start the rush, maybe even get a 2-on-1. Now, whether it's JVR to Kessel or Kessel to JVR, they found ways to score. But then what happens is if they don't score, JVR parks his big ass right in front of the goalie, Kessel goes to retrieve the puck, puts the puck in front, and there's a scoring chance just by the mere fact that JVR is there. And it led to a lot of goals. Will not work against the Bruins. Kessel's the one who's carrying it into the zone, and all the emphasis is on him, so they just smother him. Bozak's usually hanging back a bit, and if he's the one that's starting the rush, well, they don't care. They're not afraid of him. And JVR doesn't usually start the rush. He goes to the net. So the plan is flawed from the get-go. If you got Kessel doing a lot of your zone entries, you're screwed against the Bruins. You need another creative, dynamic player who likes rushing the puck in on his own, maybe with a little size. How about Joffrey Lupul? That line was great last year. There's already some chemistry there. And then you get a couple options on the wing. And it helps keep the puck away from Chara. I mean, on the other side of him, you get Dennis Seidenberg, who is still Dennis Seidenberg, but he's easier than Chara. But what do you do for the rest of the team? Break up that goofy Kuhlman, Grabowski, MacArthur line that worked a few years ago. It's not working under Randy Carlyle. Get MacArthur off that line, put Komarov on. That is your pestilence just shut down line. The year the Ducks won the Cup, everyone remembers Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger, Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, and it was Teemu Selanne's first Cup. I thought the best line on that team was Travis Moen, Rob Niedermayer, and Sammy Paulson. I thought Sammy Paulson should have won the Conn Smythe. Grabowski's an excellent skater. He knows how to shadow guys. Sometimes he shadows Malkin against the Penguins to relative effectiveness. Keep Jay McClement fresh for the PK. And you're not getting rid of Clark MacArthur. You're putting him on what is now your second offensive unit. With Kadri, he had great chemistry with Kadri for a big chunk of the season. That's the reason Kadri got so many points, was a lot of his chemistry with MacArthur. And that's where you put JVR. Remember that line? And similar to your top line, where you have Kessel and Lupul as your two creative options, and Bozak can go to the net or hang back. You have MacArthur and Kadri, who have a lot of chemistry. They were really good at passing with each other, and JVR just goes to the net. And you got to get rid of one of Colton Orr or Fraser McLaren. You don't need both. Put in Fratton. He was excellent for the Marlies in the playoffs last season until he got hurt. Put him in, let's see what he can do. And seeing as the Leafs defense in Game 1 was a catastrophe anyway, and they can't generate any offense, Jake Gardiner. Put him in, I don't care who you take out. Maybe Koska, who, you know what, was great in the AHL playoffs last year, but not a good Game 1. And the crescendo of my rant, and I'm screaming it at the Leafs, but I will scream it to every team in the league. Stop trying to beat the Bruins at their own game. No team in the league can, and they've proved it over and over and over and over again. Outside of Brandon Pruss, the Habs are all 4'6", and they beat the Bruins. Because you fight fire with water, stupid! Who on that Bruins roster is scared? Who really can't defend themselves? Not many. The Leafs will lose with their current effort, and they will lose with their current lineup. Speed! Shove the tough act in your pocket because you will lose. Don't get pushed around like Henrik Sedin in the final, Brad Marchand just speed bagging him. Don't get pushed around, but don't kid yourselves either. Fraser McLaren was mixing it up with the Bruins all game, and it was great, but Sean Thornton wanted to fight him. He was trying to go after him all game. They are not intimidated. Remember these two key things about the Bruins, and we'll start with they're a very similar team to the one that won in 2011, which, even though they won the Cup, was an extraordinarily beatable team. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't they the first ever team to win the Cup after going through 3 7-game series? They were an overtime goal away from losing in the first round to the Habs, and Claude Julien gets fired. They were 1 goal away from a third-round exit to the Lightning. Think about that. The Stanley Cup final in 2011 was almost Canucks Lightning. And they had to battle back from a 2-0 deficit in the first round and the final against the Canucks, only to win it in 7. And Tim Thomas completely bailed that team out. They ain't got Tim Thomas in net. They got Tuukka Rask, who is a great goaltender, but he was back up during their first round exit last year. He was back up during their 2011 Cup run, and he was the starter in 2010 when they were part of one of the greatest collapses in NHL playoff history. Remember Braden Holtby last year? This when the Bruins tried to act tough? Stop trying to beat the Bruins by trying to be the Bruins. Now, that's just what I think. Maybe the Leafs go into Game 2 with the exact same lineup and they win. The Leafs were more bad than the Bruins were good in Game 1, if that makes sense. These aren't the Bobby Clark era Broad Street Bullies. These aren't the 1979 Habs. These aren't the Gretzky era Oilers. They're the 2013 Boston Bruins, and you've beaten them before. Give yourself a couple smacks and do it again. That's all I got to say for this one. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and check out the post-game blog in the underbar from LeafsNation.com. Check out all the stuff on the LeafsNation.com. It's the playoffs. We got content going all the time. Check the site a few times a day, and see you after Game 2. That was a lot of words.